Behind me is a Bendix G-15, a full vacuum tube computer from 1956, and right beside me is a Librascope LGP-21, a transistorized computer from 1963. And as far as I know, there is only one functional example of each of these machines anywhere in the world. The Bendix G-15 is located at System Source Museum in Maryland, and the LGP-21 is located right here. This one. This is, as far as I know, the only functional LGP-21 in the world. So unless you're good friends with me or you're currently at System Source Museum up in Maryland, it may be a little difficult to get hands-on with either of these machines. However, my good buddy Paul has written some emulators that very accurately recreate the experience of using either of these machines. Being accurate to the real deal machine is both a blessing and a curse, because while this is indeed really what it's like to use the real metal, these machines are incredibly obtuse and very hard to get going. So I thought I would make a short video today walking you guys through how to bootstrap the Bendix G-15 and the LGP-21. Now, I'll put links in the description below to walkthroughs of these, so you don't have to come back and reference the video. You can just look at the walkthrough. I'll also put links down there to the emulators, both the G-15 and the LGP-21. Also, come join us on the Discord. We're doing active development on both of these emulators over there on the Discord, and we're also writing new software to run on the emulators as well as run on the real deal hardware. So we'll start with the Bendix G-15. Now, this is what it looks like, and it's an incredibly accurate representation of what the actual neon lights on the real machine look like. But also, we gotta do the same steps to get it going. And the first step on the Bendix G-15, before you do anything else, is to load up a tape. Now, that tape has to have something on it called the number track. The rotating drum memory in the Bendix G-15 does not have any sectoring information on it. There's a permanent erase magnet in there that clears the lines every rotation. So whenever you power the machine up, you have to lay down that sectoring information anew. So that way the machine knows where sectors begin and end. And that sectoring information is located on the paper tape. So we have to load that paper tape first, and we just do that by going up to Browse here right next to the reader. And I'm going to use ppr bootable.pti because this particular file contains the number track at the very beginning. Now all we do is have to turn the machine on, but there's no real obvious power switch on here. With the real deal machine, you flip the big black power switch that brings AC power up first. And once AC power is totally stable, then you can bring DC power up. Now on this one, AC power is up all the time, and to bring DC power up, you just push the reset button. So if we hit that, we should see the DC light come on. That little red light gets brighter and brighter. This is replicating how long it takes for DC power to actually come up in the real machine. But once it's fully up, you get a nice green ready light, and you'll see that the reader actually read in the first two blocks of the tape. Now, we don't want to run PPR. I mean, we could, but for this demonstration, I'm not going to run PPR. So what we're going to do here, and this is what I do often on the real machine once we have number track loaded in, is we actually unload this tape by clicking unload there, and I'll click browse and load in the program that I actually want to run, which in this case is going to be the Mandelbrot grow.ptr here. So we load that, we can see that our green bar has filled up again and it says block 0. Now, what we have to do is load the first block of this tape into memory and then tell the machine to start executing from that block. And then that block is going to contain the bootstrap loader to load the rest of the tape. To do that, we need to flip the enable switch on the typewriter to on, and then we come down and we type the letter P. When we do that, you can see it reads in the first block, and then it stopped. We're halted again. So we want to make sure that we turn that enable switch off, and then we take the compute switch and flip it to go. And when we do that, you can see it reads in the rest of the tape. There goes block 2. It's now reading in block 3, and the final block 4. And now it's doing execution. And you can see it's doing 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. This is the Mandelbrot program that Bill wrote for the Bendix G-15. We have run this actual program multiple times on the real deal metal. It is beautiful and brilliant. Now, it does accurately represent how slow the machine is, so you're gonna have to get comfortable and just let the machine run, which is what we do with the real deal metal. It's not a very fast machine. The incredibly low resolution Mandelbrot that it just printed out only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to run, and once it's finished you can see that the machine has halted. Now Bill wrote this program in such a way that we can just continue on from this point, and it doubles the size of the Mandelbrot every time. So the next one takes about 15 minutes to run, and then if we double it again it takes about an hour to run. So how do we continue on from here? Well, just like on the real machine, all you got to do is take the compute switch and flip it to the center position, and then flip it back to the go position. And we can see that our blinking lights have started blinking, and we're off to the races with our Mandelbrot again. Now I'm not going to double the Mandelbrot one more time and wait the extra hour, so let's move over to the LGP-21, and I've got it pulled up here. You can see it's beautiful. Paul really upped his game on this one because the LGP-21 has that gorgeous CRT that displays the contents of the accumulator, instruction register, and program counter, and that is very accurately redrawn here on this emulator. It's really fascinating to watch. So let's bootstrap this machine, and just like the G-15, our first step is going to be loading in a paper tape. So we're going to click the little hamburger menu next to the reader over here, click browse, and the paper tape that I'm going to load in is 1dlife.ptp. We can see that our reader green bar has filled all the way up. So let's get to work bootstrapping the thing by taking the mode switch here and flipping it to manual input. When we do that, we can see that the power, I/O, and stop lights all come on. Now we need to flip the lever called man input on the flexo writer. We get the manual input light lighting up in the middle, and now anything I type will be reflected in the accumulator. So in this way, we type in bits of the bootstrap into the accumulator, move them into the instruction register, and then execute them from there to ultimately bootstrap the machine into reading in the full paper tape. So the first word that we want to type in is 000C3W00. So 000C3W00. We can see that that's currently sitting in the accumulator, so I want to move that into the instruction register. So I'm going to hit fill clear. Now we want to fill the accumulator with the value that we ultimately want to put into memory, and that value is 800I0000. Now the instruction that we currently have loaded up in the instruction register says copy the value that is in the accumulator and place it into memory at the address specified, which is going to be 3W00. So we want to execute this instruction, and we do that by taking the mode switch to one operation, then clicking the execute button. We can see that the accumulator cleared out, which is what it's supposed to do because the operation we're running is a C, which is copy and then clear the accumulator. So that's good. We have our first word of the bootstrap in memory, and now we just got to knock in the next two words that go there. And that's going to be an instruction of 000C3W04 to move the value of 000C3W0J, and then an instruction of 000C3W08 to move the value of 800I0000. And keep in mind that every time we do this, we have to move back up to manual input to type in, and then we have to move down to one operation to execute. Now that we've got the bootstrap in memory, we just need to jump to it, and we do that using essentially the same process that we just did, but a slightly different instruction. And our instruction is going to be 000U3W00. U stands for unconditional transfers, so a straight jump to the memory address 3W00. So we'll do a fill clear to pop that up into the instruction register. We'll go ahead and clear out the accumulator to all zeros. We don't necessarily have to do this, but it is good practice. We'll come down to one op, hit execute, and we see that it copies the address portion of the instruction register up into the program counter. Now all we have to do is turn the manual input lever on the flexo writer off, change the mode switch to normal, and then click the start button. And we can see that it starts reading in our paper tape. The green bar on our paper tape is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and we can see that as it reads in each individual value, it's actually printing it out on the flexo writer. This is because this is emulating the paper tape reader on the Flexo Writer, not the paper tape reader that is the external one, the tally reader that I use. That doesn't actually print the values out on the Flexo Writer as you read them in. This is also emulating the speed of the paper tape reader on the Flexo Writer, which is quite a lot slower than the speed of the tally reader. So kick your feet up, sit back and relax, and just watch it read in the paper tape. And once it's fully finished, the one-dimensional life program should automatically start. Now I let the laptop sit here and run 1D Life in the LGP-21 emulator for about 40 minutes, and it's progressing really well. Looks like we fall into about 5 different columns of stable life. After it does about 25 or 26 generations, it will load up a brand new random seed and punch out a completely new, totally different evolution of cellular life. I absolutely love this program. Massive shout out to Rhys for actually writing this program for the LGP-21. And if you want to use a Bendix G-15 or an LGP-21 and you can't get here to get hands-on with the real deal machine, you can use them right now at the links in the description below. Massive shout out to Paul for building such beautiful and accurate to the experience emulators. These things are great. Now, fair warning, I may have absolutely gotten something wrong in this video that could lead you astray, so definitely check the documentation that I'll link in the description below. There's going to be walkthroughs down there, as well as some pretty good README files about how to use the emulators and whatnot. So that's going to have much more up-to-date information that is certainly more accurate than this video will be, that I've created in a kind of time-compressed, sleep-deprived manner, because right now, today, as this video releases, I am currently at VCF Southwest. Now, once VCF Southwest is over, I'm going to be loading up with a couple of my friends, and we're headed out to Arkansas to pick up something that may be a bad idea, but is going to be very cool. So next week, it's going to be a very short video, something that ended up on the cutting room floor. I'm going to revive it, repackage it, and we're going to upload that. But then the week after that, we'll be back to business as normal. So I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one.